beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time watching, thank you so much for being here. I hope you like what you hear here. I hope you can make use out of this information. My job, if you will, is to channel information. It's a channel information to help you realize your potential, your fuller potential. And that also means bringing information that helps you understand how you hold yourself back. Because the moment you see how you hold yourself back, you can make a choice or decision to no longer hold yourself back. And that's where the power is. That's where your power is. So my ultimate goal, if you will, is to help you realize how powerful you are. So if you are into this sort of thing, I hope you stay. I hope you click the like button. I hope you subscribe so it tells you when new information is being uploaded. And if you can share this information with a friend or two who you feel would benefit from this information, myself and my team who I work with would be very grateful. In essence, the more humans realize their own power, their own true power, and the more they realize what they're capable of, our entire world is going to change. Why? Because we will change it. So thank you so much for being here. For those of you who are returning, once again, I will always say this. Me doing this work is like me going home. And by you participating in this exchange, help me get to that space, which I really, really enjoy. Because if there was no you, there would be no need for me to tap in to home in order to bring in this information. So thank you so much for being part of my journey. And I hope that I can be in some way part of your journey in a positive and expanding ways. Okay, I'm supposed to say happy Halloween, even though it's way past, it's a couple days past Halloween, but I'm supposed to say happy Halloween. Okay, happy Halloween. Okay, that was it. That's interesting. Okay, because apparently people celebrate Halloween for more than just one day. So maybe you are still going to watch this over the weekend and you are in a Halloween playful energy. Interesting. Okay. They're going somewhere with this. What is so great, I would say, about Halloween, particularly for kids? They get to dress up and be anything they want. For that evening or for the few hours, the child, let's say, puts on a costume, on a mask, and it pretends to be that. And in that space, it's a very creative space, the child allows him or herself to be something that they normally are not. So by putting on a costume, by putting on a mask, they're pretending to be something on somebody. And that feels very playful. When we humans dress up is because when we dress up in a costume, we want to live out part of that costume, the identity of that costume. So we give ourselves permission to be, I don't know, a queen or a witch or whatever it is for that moment. Here's what's interesting. What if we put a costume every day that shows us off as being very powerful? So we would put on this costume that says we are very powerful, and we allow ourselves to be that costume every single day. I actually think they're saying that we can use Halloween and the costume thing as a metaphor for applying it in our lives, to give ourselves permission to be something that we think we're not. So if we give ourselves permission every single day to act out being powerful, we will begin to realize that by acting out being powerful, we are essentially creating a powerful experience. Does that make sense? In other words, whether we feel powerful or not, a lot of it is in our hands. Why? Because we already are powerful. We are powerful. Whether we identify ourselves as powerful or whether we feel as powerful, and I'm not talking about the ego powerful. When we begin to identify with that, with our powerfulness, is essentially when we begin to heal, when we heal. So I could say that to heal simply means is to recall, recognize your own power. And by doing so, by being so, by embodying your inner power, you essentially exhibit being a powerful person. Exhibit is not the right word. I'm going to say it differently. To heal simply means is to go back home. Go back home simply means coming home to yourself. Coming home to yourself simply means coming home the source of all that is. Coming home to you means coming home to the God self within. And if you have a God self within, which you do, you're extraordinarily powerful, aren't you? So it is only the denial of your God self that we think or begin to feel or recognize ourselves as not powerful. And that is the opposite of healing. Why? Because we also have the power to heal. To heal simply means returning to balance. So effectively, to be not healed or in an unhealed state means that we must be out of balance. So coming back home and healing means coming home to your oneness, to the space, I want to say where you come from. And I'm like, what does that mean? Well, if you really think about it, the essence of who you are is inside of you. It's not outside of you, right? Essence is something that's very powerful. You can't quite touch it. It's a essence. It's very hard to put it into box. But what does essence really means? What does essence really mean? Essence really means the source of all that is. So if essence means the source of all that is within you, then you are in essence part of all that is. I hope this is not too confusing. Essentially what we're saying here is this: to heal is to come back home. To come back home means to come back home to you. What is inside of you is God's self, your God self. Coming home means coming home back to you, coming home to source. If you identify yourself other than part of source, then you are severely limiting yourself. So today we're going to talk about, apparently, how we humans limit ourselves so that we can begin to not limit ourselves if we want to, because we have that power. But if we don't know how we limit ourselves, it's not going to be very helpful even with having power, because if you don't know something, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So I pulled a few cards just to help me understand what's going on in the world right now. Like, what's the theme right now? And the theme right now is bringing back, I'm going to use the terms divine feminine, because the divine feminine has been suppressed. I want to say the words for eons. Why has it been suppressed? I think that's a conversation for another podcast, but feminine has been suppressed for eons. The feminine is extraordinarily powerful. It is, I want to say, the essence of all that is. That's how it wants to come through me. So what humanity is going through right now, effectively, is we are bringing back the divine feminine. And the divine feminine is all about the feeling. The masculine is about the mind. Neither is good nor bad. They're both equally important. But when the divine feminine is suppressed, we favor our mind, our analytical mind. And when we favor our analytical mind, we often become disassociated or disconnected from how we feel. And the feeling is really the reason why you are here. It's not to think your life, it's to feel your life. It's to be immersed in your life. It's to it's to feel. You are here to feel. If you're not allowing yourself to feel, then you are experiencing your story from the mind, the logical mind. And the logical mind is very limited. So when we favor the logical mind, we literally limit ourselves. The feminine, the emotional side, feels very expansive. When we begin to feel more, it's like we grow in size. We become bigger. When we don't feel, it's like we limit ourselves. And humanity wants to experience life in less limiting ways. And in order for that to happen, we are being encouraged to connect to our feelings and to connect into our emotions. And that's because more often than not, it's in the feelings and the emotions that we are holding on to is where our problem is. So if we only try to fix problems from an intellectual standpoint, we're not fully understanding what the problem is. Because we have to also understand how we feel about a certain problem. If you don't know how we feel about something, then we only know half of the story. And I'm getting, you need the full equation to solve it, not just half an equation. If you only have half an equation, you're not going to be able to solve the equation. Okay, I'll buy that. In other words, to feel is to be fully alive. To be fully alive is to feel. If we don't allow ourselves to feel, and if we're only thinking, then we're not really having a full experience, are we? And this divine feminine is very expansive, which also means it reveals certain things that have not been seen before. Things like preoccupations with ideas that we have, but they're not conscious. So what I feel is like that the feminine, the divine feminine, allows us to see things we haven't seen before. And that can be startling at times because, well, it's new, it's unfamiliar, it's out of order, it's uncomfortable. When we begin to see things we haven't seen before, often it becomes very uncomfortable. And we are in a very uncomfortable space right now as humanity. If you ask many people, they'll say there's something going on here. Like, what's going on? That's because certain things are being revealed right now. Certain things are coming to our awareness. And whatever is coming to our awareness, we are being faced with. In other words, we are now being faced with a lot of our previous unawareness, which presents, quote unquote, a problem. If this is being revealed to me right now and I am being conscious of it, what do I want to do with it? It's a good question. What do you want to do with it? Now that you're conscious of your previous unawareness, you can actually do something about it. Previously, you didn't have that option because it was in your unawareness. So the divine feminine allows us to, brings us back to more awareness. How we feel is also an awareness. It's not just the mind. We are aware or maybe not aware of how we feel about things or situations, right? If we don't know how we feel about something, how do we know what our stance on it is? Because oftentimes our stance on something is often about how we feel about something, right? It's not just the logical mind. So by expressing more of how we feel, by first of all, it's like we are remembering how to feel. We've been so suppressed for such a long time that it is difficult for many to feel. When our feelings are suppressed, we are suppressing the divine feminine, because the divine feminine is all about the feel. And that is very limiting. It's limiting because the divine feminine is all about expression. So if we suppress our ability to feel, we're not as able to fully express. And we are all here to express, not to hide, to express. Life always wants to express itself to the fullest. And in order for us humans to express ourselves to the fullest, we have to first see how we are holding ourselves back, what we are suppressing or pushing down, because that will not allow us to fully express or express more fully. So the divine feminine is very much about fuller expression. Now here's the thing. The things that we have been suppressing for a very long time, the reason why we've suppressed it is because we didn't want to look at it. In other words, what is suppressed is often unresolved. And when something is unresolved, it creates this, let's say, chaos. So whatever is suppressed because it's unresolved will always create some chaos, inner chaos. Now think about it for a moment. When we are in inner chaos, we can't relax. To relax means to be allowing. So when we suppress, we don't allow. And in order for us to experience more, we have to allow more to come in. And that cannot happen as long as we keep suppressing. So whatever we have been suppressing for a very long time is coming up to the surface now. What am I going to do with myself now? What am I supposed to do? Who am I? These are very revealing questions. The reason why they're revealing is because in asking that question, we are beginning to realize that there is another option or another choice. If we don't ask ourselves the question, what do I choose to experience? Then it's either you feel you have no options, you have no choice on how you experience your life, or I don't know what else it could be. The point I'm trying to make is that humanity is asking some pretty big questions right now. Questions like, who am I? What do I want for myself? Why do I feel the way I feel about this situation? And this begins the process of inner exploration. Now, the inner will always be reflected in the outer. So by exploring on the inside, we begin to understand, why do we experience that on the outside? And in that moment of exploration, or in the process of that exploration, we begin to realize that we create our own world, or at least co-create our own world. We begin to see how we are part of this creation. We are not at the mercy of somebody saying, this is going to be your experience. We are part of co-creating this experience. So asking the question, who am I, gives you a choice or an option. How? By asking the question, who am I, you presume that there is some answer over there. How about you ask the question, who do I choose to be from this moment forward? And then see what happens. I would invite you to ask yourself the question, who do I choose to be going forward? Okay. First thing I'll hear is, I choose to be a confident person. Perfect. What does a confident person look like to you? Okay. And I don't mean the outside. What does a confident person feel like for you? What would it mean for you to embody a confident person? And say you go through that experience, you go through that exercise, you embody a confident person. You feel confident for that moment. You create it from within because it's inside of you. Now ask yourself the question, now what? So I'm a confident person, now what? Well, what do you want to do with your confidence? Do you want to try something new? Do you want to experience something different? What do you want to do with this confidence? And I hear, I don't know what to do with myself. Well, then you're not a confident person. The point I'm trying to make is this. We are asking ourselves these pretty big questions. And we shouldn't assume that something out there has the answer for us. If you are asking God, who am I? God is like, I don't know. I'll give you a choice to be whatever you want to be. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Now, of course, if you're a human being and you say, well, I want to be a gazelle, God is like, okay, next lifetime, you can be a gazelle if you want to. In this lifetime, the contract is you're a human being. But within that, how do you want to experience your human beingness? I gave you a choice. Imagine having that conversation with Source. In fact, I would invite you to have that conversation with Source. Ask Source the question, who am I? And see what comes back. Let's go through 3 piles. Each pile will have something for you that will help you, hopefully, to understand yourself better. And let's see what wants to be healed. Mental transformation. Need I say more? You are here, pile number 1, to transform your thinking. To look at your belief systems and say, this belief system doesn't serve me anymore. Because of this belief system, these are the experiences that I've been having. I don't want these experiences anymore. And therefore, in order for me to have different experiences, I have to change my thinking. And then you begin the process of thinking differently. Now, here's a catch. Most of how we think and what we think, we are not even conscious of. We are not conscious of 90 to 95% of what we think and what we think and why we think it. It's highly unconscious. So pile number 1, this is an invitation for you to dig into your deep unconscious in order to help reveal some of your thinking, your thoughts, your programming. Because you are here at this particular point right now to shift your programming. Essentially what it means is you are here to shift how you see yourself. How you see yourself within the world. Do you see yourself as a powerful creator? Or do you see yourself as a not powerful creator? And depending on what you see and how you see it, you will experience your world accordingly. Okay? This is a big task because our ego is essentially rooted in our belief systems, right? Our belief systems are rooted in our ego, or one or the other, however it goes. So, time for asking some deep questions, pile number 1. For example, why do I do what I do? And see what happens. Why do I keep attracting a certain type of a person? And it could be a positive one. This is just self-exploration. Okay? Why do I fear all the time? Well, there must be a belief system or systems that tells you that you should be fearful. Let's look at that. Maybe at 10 years old, you know, it was appropriate for you to be fearful, of a little ant, and at 35 or 45, you don't have to be afraid anymore. So, as a 5-year-old, fearing an ant might have been helpful to you. As a 50-year-old person, you don't need that belief system. And that's just to make a point here. So pile number 1, mental transformation. What's being activated? Orion activation, supernova, recreation, renewal, rebirth by light. Within the next couple of months, so I would say until the end of the year, I'm recording this at the beginning of November, you are approaching a brand new beginning for you. You're not quite there yet. It's in front of you. It's coming, but you can almost feel it or smell it. It's there in front of you. You can't quite see what it is. You might have gotten some glimpses of it, but your picture isn't. You don't have a clear picture of what it is. Okay. First and foremost, here's what I want to say. Whatever it is for you, you can't fail at this. Whatever that new beginning is for you, you can't fail at this. In other words, whatever new beginning awaits you, I want you to think of yourself as a winner. Doesn't matter what life has in front of me, I'll always be a winner. And that's because you can't fail at life. Now, I understand according to our human thinking, yes. But I'm talking bigger picture here. I'm talking higher perspective. From your soul's point of view, you can't fail at anything. There's no such thing. From your soul's point of view, everything is an experience. So I want you to approach your new experience, whatever that new experience may be for you, from an attitude of, I'll always win. Doesn't matter what life throws at me, I'll always win. It may feel different at the moment, but at the end of the day, I know that I'll always win. And just have that thought process in your mind and see what happens. One of the things that will begin to happen is when you think that way, you're going to be much more excited about new beginnings rather than fearing them or resisting them. You will be more curious what's coming versus being afraid of what might happen. You will likely feel more excited about new beginnings rather than fearing new beginnings. And I don't know about you, but I would rather not fear or fear less. That's just me, Joanna. Just saying. So there's a new beginning for you. It's like you're approaching a new portal. And this portal is very activating. Renewal, rebirth by light, recreation, supernova. There's definitely a new beginning for you, pile number 1. The image I'm being given is the sun. So that's I believe that's card 20 in the tarot. Very positive omen, a lot of clarity, a lot of recharged. Spring might also be a very important time for you where you see the growth of your hard work. So between November and spring, so in the next 6 months, there's a lot of new beginnings, and it feels really expanded. Thank you. It feels expanded. It feels expanded is the feeling. It's just, those are the only words that are coming are expanded. What they just reminded me is that this experience is the direct result of you changing your thinking. So by going through self-inquiry, looking at the corners of your inner world and exposing belief systems that are limiting to you, you are arriving at this. This is the direct result. The openness and the expansiveness is a direct result of you shifting how you think. Shifting how you think takes a little time. It's very hard to it's programming. Our thinking is based in our programming. So to change our thinking, we have to tweak our programming. So it is a process. Programming takes time. Also, programming something new takes time. So you are in this space somewhere in between where you are in the process of evaluation. You are evaluating different aspects of your life. You're evaluating your place in the world. You're evaluating your condition or situation. You're questioning. You're questioning, and that's a really, really good thing. Don't forget to question how you feel about yourself and how you would like to feel instead. So if you feel, for example, small, and I just use that example, if you feel small but you want to feel big, then you have to first identify what belief system are you holding on to that makes you feel small. Okay, so that's just an example. And then identify a belief system you must have in order for you to feel expanded. Okay. Thank you. A lot of chakra number 1 clearing. So if you are into energy healing or meditations, I would invite you to focus a lot of your energy, your healing on your root chakra and your sacral chakra. It's interesting because in order for us to embody our feminine, whether you're male or female, we have to feel safe. If we don't feel safe, we're going to resist. That's just the way it is. Safety, security is chakra number 1. So I would encourage you to clear any blockages you have about fears around survival, fears around money, fears around scarcity, fears about not being good enough, fears about not having something, so lack. I would really encourage you to look at that. And the programming almost always goes back to when you were growing up at home, because your programming was passed on from your ancestors. So thank you. You are also clearing for your ancestors. Any of you who are listening to this, chances are that part of your work on planet Earth is to help heal ancestral lineages, and that goes all the way down to DNA. So we are all in a process of activating our DNA. That's how it's being presented to me, and you're no different, pile number one. So for example, by deactivating old programming within you, it's like you help deactivate those programming from all those who have come before you and those who will come after you. So you are likely someone who, you don't have to be a healer, you don't have to identify yourself as a healer, but you are here to heal ancestral lines. And that makes sense to me. In other words, you're here to put a stop into a certain karma in order to create a new experience. And whatever starts with you will be carried forward. Okay, so you are here closing karmic cycles, choosing to close karmic cycles, which means you have a big job on your hand, which means because you have to do some inner work, you have to do a lot of inner work. Healing doesn't just happen by itself. Releasing yourself from karma doesn't just happen by itself. It means letting go. So pile number one, you are definitely being encouraged to let go of some deep inner programming that are rooted in sense of lack and sense of scarcity and inferiority. All right. Last but not least, magnetism. So you are naturally a very magnetic person. You don't see yourself that way from what I hear, which is too bad because it's part of your charm. This is just who you are. Why? And I know it can be perceived as an egoic thing. I don't mean it as an egoic thing. You have a certain light about you, and it's very inviting. Some people don't know how to take you. They're not quite sure what to make of you, and that can sometimes feel uncomfortable for you, because for some of you, you can feel a little bit intimidating. It's not what you say necessarily or what you do. I mean, it could be, but it's not. It's your energy. Your energy can be felt a little bit intimidating. You likely have had people who were jealous of you. I don't like talking about this stuff, but you likely have had people who are jealous of you, who want to be like you, and you're like, I'm just being me. And I feel like this feeling of I'm just being me is coming online for you right now. In other words, you are starting to see and accept your own magnetism. And that's somehow very powerful. Thank you. Because when you are accepting that, you are essentially owning your power. Have you ever been around someone who owns their power? But I don't mean the egoic power. Oh, look at me. No, that's an insecurity. Someone who owns their power, and they're just there. They're just there. They don't have to say too much. In fact, they often don't. They're very good at listening. They're often quiet. They're very reflective. They feel no need to get into any useless conversations. They're just there. That's a very peaceful and comfortable place to be. I would say everyone would want to be in that space. So if you can get to that space, if you can reach that space somehow, then you can share with others how you've reached that space. Otherwise, if someone asks you, "Hey, how is it that you like it, you look like you're just so comfortable, so confident," and you're like, "I haven't always been this way. I haven't always felt me or felt good about myself." "Oh yeah, what did you do?" And then you end up having a conversation, and in that moment, you are potentially in the process of helping someone change their life. So you are likely someone who, consciously or unconsciously, has a hand in helping someone change their life. Now, I would say all humans have a hand in helping others because we're all here in service, most. So you can be like a service-oriented person where you are actually actively helping others regain their power, or you can just be a regular person with this very calm demeanor that has a lot of wisdom. Okay, so that's what I have for you, pile number 1. Okay, let's see what we have for you, pile number 2. We have leap of faith and equal philosophy, equal value philosophy. Okay. What's right in front of you is an opportunity or many opportunities. Your job is to decide which opportunity you want to partake in. So pile number 2, looks like there are or shortly will be different choices presented to you. Not all of them are, how do I say this? They're not all the same size. So some of these choices are bigger than others. Opportunities, thank you. Some of them are smaller opportunities, some of them are bigger opportunities. And I see 2, potentially 4 bigger opportunities. Now, that is a good place to be. However, it might make you feel very undecided. What should I do? What should I pursue? And here's where the real question comes in. Ultimately, what is it that you want? And which opportunity, which door is going to bring you closer to that? It's not always a straight line equation, but it sounds like around the March or April, you will be presented with opportunities. And some of these opportunities will be conflicting. You will be conflicted by them. Okay, so maybe one will represent something and the other will represent something, but ideally you'd like to have both. So there's choices and options. March, I'll keep getting March. Choices and options. Doesn't matter what you decide, you're taking a leap of faith. Now, one would argue, well, if I decide something that I've always done, that's not taking a leap of faith. Well, you're right, you've done it before, but you're still taking a chance. Like anything you do going forward is taking a chance. Maybe one is a bigger chance than the other, but you're still taking a chance. What I would encourage you is this: don't hold back and don't look back. In other words, if one of your choices or decisions is going back to what you are used to, then you better make sure that what that is ultimately what you want. Because if it's not what you want, and you know it's not what you want, then at some point you might call it a mistake. If you knew you didn't want it, but you still took it, was that a mistake? I don't even know if it's a mistake, but you would call it a mistake. What I would say is no, you didn't make a mistake. You just chose that for whatever reason, but it wasn't ultimately what you wanted. So because it wasn't ultimately what you wanted, you're not satisfied with it, which means it doesn't work. It doesn't work. rather than trying to go back and doing what you're used to, expecting different results, give yourself an opportunity to start something new and start something different. I feel like I could overtalk it, but I won't. So I'm just gonna make that message land how it's supposed to land. These are good opportunities. These are not something that you should be scared of. Some of you who have a tendency to relying on others to make decisions for you, I would really caution you against that. Doesn't mean you can't ask for valuable input, but ultimately the choice has to stem from you. Otherwise, who are you doing it for? Who are you doing it for? So it's really important that over the next little while, you are clear within yourself, what is it ultimately that you're looking for? Okay. If you're looking for example, a partner, well then what can you do to align yourself with a specific partner? If you're looking for a certain job, what is it that you need to do in order to align yourself with a specific job? You get the idea. Law of attraction. It's a big growth year for you, 2024, 2025. I feel 2025 is a big growth year for everybody. There's something going on in 2026. I don't know what it is, but it's like 2025 is preparing us for 2026 and 2027. Nothing bad necessarily. It's just, it feels like we're in preparation. So it would make sense that you would be listening to this information because you are here ultimately to help create a better world. And the more you know about yourself, the more conscious you are, the more conscious you are, the more conscious you are of your power. And the more you're conscious of your power, the more you can realize yourself. You're here to realize yourself. Okay? Equal value philosophy. Actually, what I'm hearing is this. Rather than thinking in terms of black and white, think in terms of gray. Or I'll say it differently. Rather than thinking something is impossible, why don't you give yourself permission to believe that anything is possible? Anything is possible. Pretty much anything is possible. Is it probable? I don't know, but it's possible. Why is it important? Because when we move from black and white, when we move from polarities, we allow ourselves to experience a lot more. So this is about you becoming much more, I'm going to say it differently. This is about you living less in your own polarities. And we do live in our polarities. That's unfortunately, that's how it goes. That's why we are not balanced, because we are not in a balanced space. Pile number 2, this is urging you to really, I want to say, keep an eye on your inner balance. What is inner balance? It's hard to describe. Inner balance helps you feel more at peace and more at ease. So if you're not at peace, if you're not at ease, you are likely out of balance. And balancing is not like a 50-50 thing. Balance could be many things to different things to different people, but essentially what it means to be in a balanced space. It means that we live not in the dark, not in the black, not in the white, but we live somewhere in between. And that's movable. It also means living in a lot less rigidity. We are less rigid. So pile number 2, you are being urged to perhaps recognize where you are being overly rigid with yourself, with some of your belief systems, with some of the things you do or don't do, where you are being too rigid. Because if you're being too rigid, then you are holding yourself back. If you're holding yourself back, you're not going to be able to experience more out of life. So look at your belief system, pile number 2, and specifically when it comes to these choices that you'll be making. Okay, because you will be making your choices based on your belief systems. It's important that you make these choices from a much more balanced space. If you have a lot of options or choices and you are in a fearful space, you might not make the right decision for yourself. You might make a choice or decision but it's based in fear. We don't want to do that. We don't want to perpetuate fear-based living. We want to experience more. So likely what you are afraid of is going to come up for you, pile number 2. Essentially, it's facing your shadows. This is what the feminine does, apparently. The divine feminine helps us see our shadows, helps us see the darker corners of our being. And there is something within you that pertains to your own sense of value that makes you feel like you are less than. Okay, pile number 2, feeling like you are less than, which is going to negatively impact your confidence and everything in life. That feeling of less than needs to be resolved. And a lot of it is stemming from the sacral chakra is what I'm getting. Even though confidence is in your solar plexus, I'm getting a lot of stuff in sacral chakra. There's some quote unquote clearing that would be good for you to do in your sacral chakra. Okay. For those of you who are females and you still have ovaries, and if you've had some issues or challenges or even cysts around on your ovary, it would be good for you to connect with this condition and literally communicate with this condition in order for the condition to share with you what is its source. This is an opportune time for you to heal by exposing the source of whatever is unhealthy. Okay? And a lot of that has to do with unexpressed and unprocessed emotions. Oftentimes we get ill because of unprocessed feelings and emotions, and then they express themselves in the physical body. As you know, emotions, how you think and how you feel, absolutely plays a big part in your physical health. Okay. Merkaba activation, transcendence, ascension. You are rising up. You might be someone who identifies him or herself with Archangel Michael. Also, the Merkaba is connected to Metatron. You might have a connection with Metatron. In fact, you likely have connection with many other types of beings. Some of you might be afraid of that. I would encourage you not to be afraid of it. But if you have fears around your connections, then you have some programming, some stories, or an experience that makes you be afraid of that. But for most of you, if you are afraid or uncomfortable with having connection to other beings, other starred beings, it's usually because of some dogma that's rooted in religion. Okay, so if you have some strict religious background and you are connecting with other beings and there's a part of you that fears that's you're connecting with devil, whatever that is, there's so many different layers to it. You are likely someone, pile number 2, who consciously or unconsciously connects with other star beings. Okay. You are likely one of those star beings, hence your connection. But I feel for some of you, you're afraid of that. So I would encourage you to cultivate that. For some of you, it's your ancient Egyptian roots. Actually, it's been very prominent with me the last few weeks, I would say. You might have a connection to deities like Thoth, Osiris, the gods, goddesses, goddess Sekhmet, goddess Isis. You may connect with those energies. If you don't, then this part of the message is not for you. But if you resonate with this, I would encourage you to cultivate a stronger relationship with these beings, because they have a lot of information or messages information that they can share with you, that you can share with the rest of the world. Okay, but for you to do that, you have to be fairly comfortable with having that connection. So you have a discomfort with this connection right now. Okay. Okay. How do you cultivate a closer connection? Well, first and foremost, check your belief systems. Do you have any belief systems that go against the fact that you are connecting with other beings? Whatever that belief system is, if it creates some resistance, then deal with that belief system. Shift that belief system. Okay, and that's your priority. Your priority right now is to shift your belief system around being connected to other beings. Okay. Most of you who are listening to this, I would say, are very open to this, but you still may have some programming. I mean, I know a lot of people who are connected to other beings, but they still have this unconscious programming that's pretty strong, and it makes them resist that connection. When you resist that connection, it's hard for you to really benefit from it because you're resisting it. And it's not comfortable. Like I can feel it in my throat here. So pile number 2, stop resisting this communication that is apparently taking place in your life. Stop resisting it. For some of you, it's the resistance to Yeshua or Jesus, who's an ascended master. I had myself a lot of resistance connecting with this being because of my own religious dogma, until he said to me, nah, Joanna, no, drop that dogma. No, just drop it. This is not who I am. So relationship with your belief systems in terms of your connection to source. Okay. First and foremost, your belief system that you are disconnected from source has to go. You're not disconnected. Center. Beautiful message. Beautiful card. She's glowing. She's blooming. She's in a space of her inner growth. You are in a space of inner growth. You're glowing and growing. So you are likely in a space where you are growing. At the same time, you've heard the expression growing pains. So you likely are experiencing a dark night of the soul. You might actually feel like you're just in your own darkness. Don't see it as a negative, see it as a positive. This is you emerging from yourself. You are in the process of emerging. You are in the process of rebirth, transcendence, ascension, rising up. Similar thing. I just keep hearing, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this process. Be okay with this process. Going through the dark night of the soul is not a comfortable process by any stretch of the imagination. Okay? Don't let anyone ever tell you the dark night of the soul is a big deal. I don't think anyone would ever tell you that. If anyone has ever gone through the dark night of the soul, it is anything but easy. It is anything but easy. It's basically breaking down your inner structures. It's like you're falling apart on the inside because certain aspects of you are outdated. They're no longer supporting you. So new structures have to be put in place, and that takes time. So you might be feeling mentally like you're all over the place. What the hell is happening with me? You are in the process maybe of losing control, or you feel like you are losing control. I can't control everything. You're not supposed to control everything. You can't control everything. Never gonna happen. Maybe stop trying to be so controlling. Maybe stop trying to control this process so much. If you have any challenges around control, excessive control, or needing excessive control, then you need to address the underlying belief system around control. It always goes back to safety. Now, here's what I will tell you. If you are someone who's connecting with all these beings, you trying to control that process isn't going to work very well, because you're not going to get the full benefit of it. I know, because when I try to control it, my mind comes in. And when my chatterbox comes in, I'm useless. Okay? To better communicate with those beings, you actually need less control. But again, you have to trust the process. So you're going through a lot of learning how to trust the process right now. And, well, learning how to trust the process is, well, learning how to trust the process. How else can I say it? It is what it is. You're in a learning phase, and that has to be okay, which means you can't know everything. You don't know everything. You're not supposed to know everything. What fun would that be? Hope for the best. Be open for anything that life throws at you. Don't assume the worst. Hope for the best. Life has its ups and downs. Sometimes you'll experience ups, sometimes you'll experience down. It's never just up, it's never just down. It's always like this. So even though you may feel like you're not in a flow, you're going through this experience, like it or not. You can't stop it. Don't try to resist it. It's not going to help. The more you try to resist, the tougher it gets. The more you try to hold on to something that's outdated and old, the more it's going to be uncomfortable. Whatever it is that you need to let go of, and you need to let go of it for whatever reason, all I'm going to say is do your best, because letting go is not easy. Letting go of your identity is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, because you are letting go of who you think you are. And if you are letting go of who you think you are, you have to think yourself anew. You are in a process of creating a brand new identity for yourself. And that's not a small task. It's a massive undertaking. Pile number 2. Congratulations, because that is, that's quite a feat. So that's what I have for you, pile number 2. Okay, let's see what we have for pile number 3. New consciousness. This is a new era for you. I mean, we're all going through this process. We're all moving towards the quote-unquote new earth. 5 and 4 is changes to your structures. Changes to your structures, which means in order for there to be change, there has to be temporarily a bit of a chaos. All you have to do is turn on the news, lots of chaos. But this is for you personally. You are going through a massive mental transformation, which is very similar actually to pile number 1. But there's going to be a different message here for you. Okay. You are also in your growth. You're in a growth spur right now. We're all in a growth spur. However, this is also a time for you where I feel like you're also very magnetic. I think number 1 talked about that. This is also a time for harvest for you. You are in a space of harvesting. Okay? So I feel like there's a lot of opulence coming to you right now or in a very near future. And I actually believe and feel that that's the result of you shifting your consciousness. So not only are you in a process of shifting your consciousness further, but you're also in a space where it's harvest for all the hard work you have done. December 24 and January 2025 is somehow big moment for you. It's a big opportunity time for you. Perhaps in a couple of months, this message is going to make much more sense to you. Remember, you are always way more capable than you think. So if you, for some reason, think that you are not capable of handling something, then you have to ask yourself, what basis do you say that on? Listen, we've heard this before, and the ego is going to protest when I say this, but I will say it. Life will never give you more than you can handle. It certainly does not feel that way sometimes. It certainly feels like we're crumbling underneath the weight of what life has thrown in our way. But I'm just going to say what they're asking me to say. Life will never give you more than you can handle. Doesn't mean it won't be tough. Doesn't mean you won't be challenged. And of course, in fact, Of course, you'll be challenged because it's through the challenges that you grow the most. Now, challenge doesn't mean necessarily anything bad. It just means a challenge. You can have a very beautiful situation for you, but it might be a challenge for you because you've never dealt with it before. It doesn't have to be bad, but challenge allows you to grow. Challenge allows you to move beyond your limitations. So be prepared to be challenged, but I'm going to say it differently. Be prepared to challenge yourself. When you challenge yourself, you see where your power is. So this is a very time for you, pile number 3, to realize how powerful you really are. We all are, but specifically for you, the message is, it's a really good time to not only realize how powerful you are, but to utilize this power in ways that will not only benefit you better, but also benefit planet Earth as a whole. Okay. I don't know what this means. You're a republic unto your own. I have no idea what that means other than you are your own identity. I have no idea what that means. Okay, message 2, clarity. There's something you need to look at, and it's located in your solar plexus. It's how do I say this? There is certain information that you need to access that is located in your solar plexus. That's your power center. That's your 3rd chakra. Okay. It has to do with your identity. Something to do with your identity. How you identify yourself, and this is unconscious for the most part, blocks how you see things. So how you identify yourself blocks how you see things. If you are blocked in how you see things, you cannot see clearly. So the reason why you can't see clearly right now, or you may not be able to see clearly right now, it's because of the way you identify with yourself. And it's important for you to realize that right now on a conscious level, because how you identify with yourself is how will you create your experience. Okay. Example, this is just a drastic example. Why am I always poor? Okay. Do you identify yourself as a poor person? No, I don't identify myself as a rich person. Then why are you having experience of being poor? Now, this is just a drastic example. However, sometimes we come here to experience being poor. But here's the thing. Once we have the experience, once we draw wisdom from that experience, once we understand that experience, then we can move on to another experience. We don't have to keep recreating the same experience. If you're here to experience, invalidation, and you have experience invalidation, because you now have that experience already, you don't need to keep repeating it over and over again. You can change your experience. But unless you know how to change your experience, you're never going to be able to change your experience. And your experience is very much tied to how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see yourself within the world. And that ties into your identity, how you perceive yourself. That's truly where your power is how you see you. How you see you will be your experience. Okay. I want to give you this example. It's been proven time and time again that, let's say, if someone who's always been in poverty wins $1 million, within a year, that money is gone. They have no idea how to hold on to it because their inner world is one of poverty. So they don't know how to be with this other frequency. It's completely at odds with how they identify themselves. And how they identify themselves will ultimately win because that's their truth. So the being poor truth will always win unless it's shifted. That's the kind of example I want to give you. Okay. And that's been same idea with people who go to jail. I think it's over 50% of people come back. Why would they want to come back? Didn't you want freedom? Why are you back? And there's various reasons for it. There's various reasons for it. Last but not least, Temple of Truth, throat chakra, authenticity, self-expression. Pile number 3, you need to cry. You need to have a really good cry. I just looked at the clock, it's 1:11. You need to have a really good cry. You need to let your emotions out. Not all at once, but you need to let some of your emotions out, because there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of emotions that needs to flow. There's a lot of energy that you have been suppressing, blocking, limiting, and it needs to flow. It needs to flow. What you might experience this as is a flood of emotions. Over the next few weeks, you might experience flood of emotions. Now remember, the divine feminine is coming into our world. I use that analogy. The divine feminine is all about feeling emotions. It's important for you, pile number 3, to allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you feel, because it's very healing. When I do my work with clients and I work on their energy field, and when I see all the blockages and all the suppressions and how it affects a person in their daily life, physically, emotionally, mentally, it's always because there are some unexpressed, unprocessed emotions, and they get stuck in the body. When these emotions, this energy gets stuck in the body, there's no flow. And that creates a lot of resistance. So when there is resistance, there is pain. So this is true for everybody, but pile number 3, give yourself permission to feel. Give yourself permission to feel. If you've always suppressed anger, give yourself permission to feel angry. No, it doesn't mean that you get to go and punch someone in the nose. No, that's behavior that's highly inappropriate. No. Allow yourself to feel. Here's the problem with most people. When we feel something that doesn't feel good, we want to run away, we want to fix it, we want to suppress it, we want to project it, and other things. We want to deny it. Never works. Never works short term. So if you've always suppressed feelings of anger, resentment, or anything like that, if you have not allowed yourself to feel because it's somehow bad, or it doesn't feel good, then what's happening is you're not allowing that energy to flow through and move out of you, and it gets stuck in the body. When it gets stuck in the body, it acts as a trigger. Every time you're triggered, particularly in a negative way, it's because you are re-engaging some old story, some old emotions. And because this is a very reflective time right now, tapping deeper into your emotions or allowing yourself to feel emotions, pile number 3, is hugely important. Hugely important. For one, you are here to feel. What I was trying to say is that normally when we humans feel things we don't like to feel, we want to do anything but feel them. And it's the easiest thing, but also one of the most difficult things to do. Because oftentimes all we have to do is just feel. Let that energy move through the body. And it's not comfortable. Have you ever tried to sit with your angry feeling? You feel like you want to move around, you want to do things, you want to deflect things. You can channel energy, but suppressing it is no longer an option. Why? Because when we suppress too much, it messes with our mental clarity. When we suppress our emotions, we are not clear in our minds. It clouds our thinking. It clouds how we see things. So there's a considerable release, emotional release, particularly anger, I want to say anger. For pile number 3, if you have some unprocessed anger, unacknowledged anger, if you have some suppressed anger, allow yourself, maybe with help of somebody else, to help you move through these emotions. Allow yourself to feel. One of the things that I find extraordinarily helpful is through shamanic breath work. And when I facilitate shamanic breath work, oftentimes I will ask the participant to scream at the end, not because they're screaming angry, but screaming allows for a lot of energy to move through the body, and generally people feel so light afterwards. So if that means that you just need to go out and scream, whatever it is that you need to do to move that energy out of your body, it's really going to help you. Number 1, it's going to help you emotionally release, but number 2, it's going to allow you feel calmer. It's going to allow you feel a lot calmer. When you are calmer, you can deal with any situation that life presents to you in a calmer way rather than in an anxious way. Okay? So allowing yourself to feel, processing stored feelings and emotions. We all do it. Some people do it to lesser degrees than others. Some people suppress a lot, and some don't. We all do. It's just pile number 3, I'm just going to repeat. Really important for you to acknowledge how you feel and to allow yourself to express your feelings. Expressing your feelings of anger doesn't mean you get to go blame somebody. No. Feel angry, and if you can, don't communicate in the heat of the moment. That's usually when ego is in the driver's seat. Sometimes it's important, sometimes it's useful, oftentimes it's not useful. When you are calmer and you respond, life is generally a little bit easier. Okay? So allowing yourself to feel pile number 3 is hugely, hugely important. Also, don't judge yourself about how you feel, thinking that somehow feeling this is bad, you shouldn't feel this, you're not supposed to feel this. That's not how it works. You feel how you feel based on your experience. The only thing you can do is acknowledge it. Your feeling tells you your experience. Doesn't mean it's the truth of what's happening, but it's your experience. It's your experience, it's your experience. There's no point in hiding that. You can change your experience, but in that moment, there's no point in denying that this is how you feel. Okay, let's work with it. Never deny yourself how you feel. Why? Because when you deny yourself how you feel, you deny yourself your own truth. Not the truth, your truth. Why is your truth important? Because based on what your truth is how you create your life. So if you don't know what your truth is, you effectively don't know how you create life. And your job is to create life more consciously. And that is through connection with the feeling. It's through connection to the divine feminine, because the divine feminine is all about feeling and emotions. Okay? So maybe you need to find yourself a friend, or maybe you need to create a space where you safely allow yourself to feel. Find a container, maybe like a breathwork class, or maybe with somebody who supports people in this journey. Maybe someone like me, maybe some communities. I mean, there's various ways of allowing yourself to express. It's not how do I say it? There is various ways of expressing things. It's how we express that then either serves us or doesn't serve us too well. So again, I'm going to say the word anger because that is what's coming up the most. Sacral chakra, it's sacral chakra connected. If you were not allowed to feel anger when you were growing up, it's not a very quote unquote balanced way to be, because anger is a very normal human emotion. And sometimes anger propels you to move forward from getting stuck. Very good, very, 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 very important, very, very positive. Anger does not mean bad. It's what we do with it. Of course, anger turned inside, not a great idea, right? It's your relationship with anger. If you let anger control you, then you're not in control of your life. Your anger is. I'm not saying you should control your anger. I'm saying being in control of how you feel, by allowing yourself to feel, that's when you become more in control, more in charge. You don't want to control your anger. You don't want to control your feelings. You want to navigate your feelings. You want to know how to better navigate your feelings. Okay? It's like trying to control a dam of water. It's a lot of resistance. I'm not saying go ahead and be angry all the time. In fact, I would say please don't do that, because it affects you in negative ways, in so many ways. But trying to control it is different than allowing yourself to move through it. Whatever feelings that you have suppressed for a very long time, give yourself opportunity to move through these feelings. Let these feelings move through you. Remember, feeling emotions is energy in motion. Move it through you. It will allow you to feel a lot more clearer in what it is that you want to do or what it is that you can do. Okay? Anything else? And that's going to be also very healing to your heart. So that's what I have for you, pile number 3. These were very interesting messages. I hope you like them. Let me know how these messages resonate with you. Again, happy Halloween whenever you're listening to this. I hope you have a wonderful month of November, and I look forward to your comments, and see you soon. Bye-bye.